Hey guys, we're back talking about Horizon Zero Dawn 2. This will be a follow-up to my previous video on the game, hence why the title is Everything Else We Know. So if you haven't seen my last video yet, make sure to check that out and return to this video because it does all kind of go in chronological order in the time that we got the news. But since my last video at the start of the year, there's been even more news and rumors around Horizon 2. So let's break them all down and keep you guys up to date. As always, all the links to the sources will be posted down below, so make sure to check those out and support the original articles. And with that out of the way, let's get into everything else we know about Horizon Zero Dawn 2. Let's start with Hermen Hulst, who was previously the head of Guerrilla Games and has now been promoted to the head of Worldwide Studios at Sony. He explains why Horizon Zero Dawn is making the jump to PC, which is something that happened since my last video. I didn't think Horizon would ever branch out from being a PlayStation exclusive, but it looks like Sony is starting to experiment. So the question asked was, quote, PlayStation is no stranger to publishing titles on the PC, but Horizon Zero Dawn is one of the largest games to make that leap. Is there anything you would say to the PlayStation fans? What does it mean for the future? Hermen Hulst said, quote, sure, I think it's important that we stay open to new ideas of how to introduce more people to PlayStation and show people maybe what they've been missing out on. And to maybe put a few minds at ease, releasing one first-party AAA title to PC doesn't necessarily mean that every game now will come to PC. In my mind, Horizon Zero Dawn was just a great fit in this particular instance. We don't have plans for day and date PC releases, and we remain 100% committed to dedicated hardware. And I think that his quote here ties into the larger idea that Sony wants as many people playing the original Horizon Zero Dawn as possible. It's now been a few years since the game was initially released, and it was very popular on Sony's exclusive consoles. And because they want the sequel to be as big as possible, and because the sequel will be a big factor in early console sales for the PS5, it makes sense that Sony's doing the one last final push for Horizon Zero Dawn by putting it on PC and just really pushing the game before the sequel comes out. Along with pushing it on PC, Horizon Zero Dawn also launched on PlayStation Now in January, which is just another marketing move, and I wonder if in the next few months we'll see it will even become a PS Plus game, maybe even close or after the release of Horizon 2. Now moving on, we've speculated before that Horizon 2 will be a PlayStation 5 exclusive, which I think is pretty much a no-brainer. But to back this up further, a now deleted tweet by the Guerrilla Jobs Twitter account was found by a deleted Reddit user. Now if you don't know, Guerrilla Games are the developer behind Horizon, and the initial tweet said, quote, looking for a senior AI programmer who can make a difference in the design and implementation of the systems that make our NPCs come to life. They include a bunch of hashtags in the tweet, and one of them is hashtag PS5. So this obviously got fans excited, seeing as this confirms it. They are working on this game. It will be a PS5 exclusive and it won't be coming to PS4. So for me, hopefully they are able to take advantage of the new software and make the game look even better than the first one. Though I think it's interesting that they still are making hires if the game has been in development for how long we think it has. Continuing on the trend of job listings, another one was posted that circulated among many news sites, which is for a technical vegetation artist. The post said, quote, within Guerrilla, we have 4 teams dedicated to creating the stunning environments of Horizon. One team focuses on the creation of lush and stunning vegetation. We built these 3D models from scratch so our world dressing team can deliver our immersive world with industry benchmark graphics. And basically this has been circulated for 2 reasons, one of which being the industry benchmark graphics note, which should be no problem for Guerrilla considering how the first game looked, and with some new console hardware, it should only look better. The other reason this has been circulated and is important is because Guerrilla actually ended up removing the job listing once it got circulated and posted a new one, but the only difference is they removed the word Horizon from the job listing. So now it just says, within Guerrilla, we have 4 teams dedicated to creating stunning environments. They don't say for Horizon, And it's just another one of those pieces of information that's one of the worst kept secrets. We all know Horizon is being worked on, and who knows if Guerrilla did this on purpose or what their damage control is around this. And the biggest news we have to talk about comes from VGC, which has some big leaks around the game. They start by saying that a multi-part script was written for Horizon, which would span multiple games, even maybe a trilogy. And after the massive worldwide success of the first game, the plan started to move forward at Guerrilla and Sony, because at first Sony was hesitant to sign this deal and move forward with that many games if it wasn't going to be a success. But obviously, after how well the first game did, it was no problem for Sony to move forward using this script and continuing on the story. They do go on to say that initially development for Horizon Zero Dawn 2 started after the success of the first game, so development has been pretty seamless, jumping from one game to the other. Horizon 2 was initially planned to release for the PlayStation 4, which makes sense. They probably wanted to get it out as fast as possible. They might have known a little bit about when the next generation was coming, but could double down and know that the PlayStation 4 is out and has a very large install base of players already there, when the PlayStation 5, the player base would be a lot smaller than the PlayStation 4. But they go on to say that at some point in development, Guerrilla had shifted towards Sony's next generation of consoles. The game is described as gigantic in scope, with a large game world and more freedom to explore than its predecessor. The game is also mentioned to have a co-op feature at one point, but it's not clear if this is the main story, if it will have co-op elements, or if it will be a separate mode altogether, or if it's been scrapped altogether. We just aren't sure. Some of these leaks, they weren't able to directly say what it was, but they say that Guerrilla is thinking about it. The article continues on saying that Guerrilla initially planned to release a standalone co-op game before the release of Horizon 2, and that all the progress made in this side game would carry over to Horizon 2. But they aren't sure if these plans were scrapped as well, and I think that almost sounds more interesting than adding co-op to the main game. I think everyone likes the game for the single player experience, and I think if it was a standalone game, something separate just to tide players over until the new release, that would make more sense to me. Now moving on, this article still talks how PlayStation and Guerrilla both wanted some form of co-op in the series, most likely for different reasons. Guerrilla most likely has an idea and sees co-op as a way to elevate the Horizon experience and add additional gameplay on top of the single player experience. It also just adds more dynamics they could add for bosses, more things to do together, and I get why Guerrilla wants a co-op game, or at least some co-op experiences. While I think Sony is so keen on pushing this is because Horizon is a huge franchise and could be a really big way to push PlayStation Plus, their online subscription service. If Horizon's multiplayer can pull in huge numbers, it would make sense that they in turn would make a lot of money on PlayStation Plus, and it really just goes hand in hand. I will mention in my last video, we covered a story where Herman Hulst did say they are still dedicated to single player experiences, and I don't see that changing with this game. Maybe it will be co-op, maybe it won't, we just don't know, and I don't want to say anything or give any in-depth ideas until we see the game for sure. And I think Sony knows this too, especially after the success of their other exclusive single-player games, like Spider-Man and God of War. So if anything is multiplayer, I would assume they would do it as an additional component or a side game rather than required for the main experience. Now, moving back to the article, VGC mentions that co-op was initially planned for the first game, Horizon Zero Dawn, but was cut in development so the developers could focus on other areas of the game. And concept art from 2014 was posted, which shows multiple different playable characters taking down a machine, which points to the validity of these claims. The article closes by mentioning that PlayStation has already started to tease how the new DualShock controller for the PS5 will help push Horizon 2, indirectly mostly. They said, quote, DualSense's adaptive triggers will help players feel the tension of their actions, like when drawing a bow to shoot an arrow. So obviously players started freaking out, tying that with Horizon, one of the biggest games with a bow and arrow in this new generation and one that people are excited about. And I think the biggest takeaway is that they are planning a trilogy of Horizon Zero Dawn games, if not more. And we could see side games that are co-op or a ton of different ways to keep the franchise moving. So if you're a fan of the series, there's going to be a lot more content for you in the coming years. Now, these co-op claims make sense why Guerrilla was hiring these expert multiplayer-focused developers that had previously worked on Rainbow Six. Originally, I thought Guerrilla wouldn't risk taking the Horizon single-player experience anywhere near multiplayer, but now it looks like that is a likely option, and I want to wait to hold off judgment, as I said in thoughts, until we see what this actually means. And I guess that my last statement in the video where I talked about maybe they were hiring for Killzone 5 could be wrong, and the multiplayer really is for Horizon. There's also a Horizon Zero Dawn comic that is being released in a partnership with Titan Comics and Guerrilla Games. The official PlayStation Magazine UK announced that the comic will now release on July 22nd instead of May, and the reason I bring this up is because the story will continue past the events of Horizon Zero Dawn, and fans are starting to speculate that it will lead into Horizon Zero Dawn 2. So if you want to check that out, it looks really exciting, and I think it's a good way to merge the story if they can't do a standalone game. Now, according to the details in the magazine, quote, "The story takes place after the events of the game. Hunter Talana is struggling to find purpose in her life now that her friend Aloy has disappeared. A mysterious threat emerges and Talana discovers a new breed of killer machines has evolved. Will Talana be able to take down the beast, and what is Aloy's connection to these events?" The Horizon Zero Dawn comic editor, Tali Max, has also commented on the story in a very enthusiastic manner. Quote, "Fans are going to absolutely love the stories we have to tell of Talana and Aloy as we expand the Horizon Zero Dawn universe in this new comic series." And the very last thing I want to talk about is when will we see this game get announced or shown off? Well, in the latest issue of the official PlayStation Magazine UK, they've already started to tease the next generation of games. In their most current issue, it said, quote, "The next gen starts next issue, as we will reveal the latest games coming to PS5 and how they will play." Now, they obviously got a lot of attention for this, and they went on to clarify that they will only be covering the PS5 games, and it does not coincide or reference any Sony event, which was fans' initial thoughts. Are they able to talk about these next games because we'll be seeing a Sony event around the same time? And they said no. There was also that news I want to quickly touch on where they started to tease out the comic, and fans thought this meant they were going to show off something for Horizon Zero Dawn 2, and they clarified that too, saying, nope, we don't have anything to show for Horizon 2, we're only talking about the comic and the story in there. The other reason I bring up the magazine is because I don't think the official PlayStation Magazine would be the one to announce a Horizon sequel, considering how important the game is to Sony, or more importantly, the franchise success is to Sony. I would assume that the reveal would be at a PlayStation 5 event or sometime soon after. They do have to start promoting the game somewhat soon so they can have time to market and get people thinking about it before it actually releases, which kind of leads into the question, when do you think we'll see the PS5? As I've said many times, Horizon 2 and the PlayStation 5 are definitely connected. There have been a few other sources, notably Jason Schreier, which mentions a PS5 event in early to mid-June, but he even says that everything could change due to the global pandemic, and that everything's up in the air, and it really just depends on what the world looks like then. So I would assume that Horizon could be either then or somewhat soon after, so maybe past June for sure. I wouldn't expect it anytime before then. So let's just wait and see, but that covers everything else we know about Horizon Zero Dawn 2. Make sure to like and share this video, subscribe for weekly gaming news, and I will see you guys in the next one.